New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams. NYC.
What is up, Knicks fans, KOT family? It's your boy, the Latin Assassin, Lee Escobedo, doing a short solo show to celebrate this great Knicks win on the road, 101-90 against the Indiana Pacers. Shout out Ryan Dale, the best co-host in these Twitter streets, who's in Indiana and probably gave us a little bit of good luck being so. I want to give some unbelievable props tonight. This is the Josh Hart game, one of my favorite Josh Hart games, and one that we don't win with his defense and offense on both sides of the court, even though Karl-Anthony Towns was the most dominant player. No one was more important than Josh Hart, who gave you 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists tonight. Karl-Anthony Towns giving you 40, 12, and 5, and the assists were abounding. Today, the team had a total of 37. Typically, any night that I think the Knicks, my 3 tenants for the season, they do these 3 things on offense, they typically win. The first one is getting over 30 assists. Tonight, 37, the ball was moving. There's a greater emphasis on cutting and finding those cutters as well, not looking off them, which made our guard play very important. We'll get to that in a minute. The second metric I always look for is how do we shoot from the free throw line? Do we shoot better than 85%? You're damn right. Tonight, 87% from the free throw line. An incredible metric for a team that's really struggled, oddly, from the free throw line overall under the Tibbs era. So at least under the Brunson era. So great to see that as well. And lastly, did we win the rebounding battle? Man, did we? 48-36. And this is because of a couple of different guys. I mean, obviously, you had Karl-Anthony Towns, who I believe is second in NBA in rebounds, giving you 12 boards tonight, but also Josh Hart, not just giving you 10, but the way that he gets boards, not the offensive ones that really break the spirit of the opposing team, and also the defensive ones that guarantee that there's not a second chance point or an offensive rebound on the defender's end, and really allowing you to have great outlet passes for quick transition points down the court, or to be able to set up quickly in the half court, and then he's able to go downhill after that initial distribution, get off the rock and being able to catch it, and then get to a great one-man fast break. We saw that many times tonight. Josh Hart really attacking the floor. I mean, there's a lot to be said about Hart, a guy who I think will absolutely go down in Knicks history as one of the greatest, most beloved Knicks of all time. It's not just the undersized nature of his game. It's not just that he plays bigger. It's not just a journeyman story, kind of being part of that package that New Orleans acquired for Anthony Davis so many years ago. He is just, and I believe he was the last pick of the first round as well during his draft. It's just the heart that he plays with, pun intended, his willingness to do whatever it takes to win a game. And really, he steps up in the games that we need to win the most. You can always depend on him. I think there was a lot of residual pain and definitely an existential pain for not being able to get over that hump on Game 7 at MSG, losing to the Pacers last year in the playoffs. You could tell that Hart really took that shit personal, and he wanted to make sure that he went out there and won this for Knicks fans. And I watch a lot of NBA League Pass, and there is no player in the NBA currently that is even close to a comp for Josh Hart. No one plays like him. He is one of the greatest two-way players when it comes to initiating the offense and finding guys in really hard outlets, routes, and backdoor cuts. He is this is what makes him so great. He is so great on both ends of that. He's great at being the one who collects the ball, gathers, and then finishes, typically through contact and for a foul, and he hits his free throws. Or he's a guy that finds a cutter, whether it's a Shamet or a Deuce or a Precious or a Karl-Anthony Towns. He just has an amazing court awareness, whether it's an outlet from an out of bounds or a mid-court bounce pass or just a little dump off, give and go, or either a DHO play on the perimeter. He is undoubtedly our best passer, and in my opinion, our best playmaker. And he was the MVP tonight on why we won this game. And then Karl-Anthony Towns. I love seeing him shaking off the finger injury. You just see that a few times during the game in the second quarter when he was really doing blitzkrieg, that hand might have hurt him a little bit. But he really took that Thomas Bryant opportunity and saw barbecue chicken and ate the whole damn buffet. He and Bryant had a decent game tonight too, filling in for the injured Miles Turner. But this was a game looking at who you're matched up against, and I felt similar when he was matched up against Boston against Luke Cornett. Shout out former Knick Phil Jackson. He and what he didn't do against Cornett, he did do tonight against Thomas Bryant, which is destroy him in the paint. This was one of the most dominant Karl Anthony Towns paint performances that I've seen in the orange and blue. And that's saying a lot because I think he's been really solid overall, being more attentive to scoring on the block and abusing mismatches, specifically in the month of January. We saw that dip a little bit in February, him settling more for the 3-point shot when his finger was hurting him a little bit. And I don't blame him. But tonight, a renewed physicality, much needed to give us 70 out of our 128 points in the paint, which is unbelievable. And as much as the Pacers, and I tweeted this, as much as the Pacers were getting us in seals on the block, Karl-Anthony Towns was returning the favor to them as well. Getting their guys in foul trouble. They're Isaiah Jackson's down with an injury. Wiseman was down before he was traded, and now Miles Turner's down. Their front court has been really thin. I mean, when you're playing Thomas Bryant, how many minutes did he play tonight? 32. That tells you what kind of depth they have at the 5 spot. Jarris Walker was really the only one who could be considered a bid that came off the bench. He only played 9 minutes. They had a little bit there where they were going small ball with Siakam at the 5, and we absolutely torched them in those minutes as well. And again, kudos to Karl-Anthony Towns for knowing when to take advantage of those mismatches and when to go ham and demand the ball, and the guys are looking for him. And that leads me to giving some shout outs to our backup depth at lead guard with Jalen Brunson having maybe his worst game of the season. It's nice to be able to win against a very tough streaking opponent like the Pacers, who have really improved their standings at 29 and 23. A pretty solid team right now since the month of January. They've turned things around. They've gotten a little bit healthier on the perimeter. You have Halliburton Batten, Bennett Mather and Batten, Nembhard, Naismith, and Pascal Siakam, who's had an all-star year. This was a really needed win. I really thought this was a must-win for the Knicks, just to get revenge on the playoff series from last year. And we needed someone else besides Brunson to step up. And what I liked about it is that didn't necessarily come from Cameron Payne or Landry Shamet or Deuce and Bride drop at 30. It was more allowing them to be playmakers on the offense and act as decoys on the perimeter. And that it helps that we're one of the more efficient three-point shooting teams. And our bench, there are guys who got a guard, whether it's Payne, Shamet, or Deuce. And this was probably the best Shamet game we've seen maybe since December. He gave you 11 points, and more importantly, in my opinion, the 4 assists combined with Cam Payne's 9 points and 8 assists. Those 12 assists were pivotal in finding Josh Hart and Karl-Anthony Towns off of ball screens and flares. It was really those two guys that were doing the majority of the playmaking. Once Brunson picked up his 5th foul, I think in the 3rd quarter, he was benched for the majority throughout. I don't believe he came back in, which, man, it's kudos that we got these steely vets that are able to kind of stay the course, understand who's hot, and feed them while also acting as a decoy and a threat from beyond the perimeter, like Landry Shamet's cutting. Again, anytime the Knicks are really embracing the motion offense and really setting off-ball screens for each other and making sure there's really clean curls coming off of those for catch-and-shoot opportunities, that's when this offense, to me, is at its best, rather than being an over-reliance on spamming pick and roll or an over-reliance on trying to push the pace. To me, we are at its best when we're doing a lot of off-ball motion, a lot of ball screens for guys, and guys are looking for each other instead of just barreling into the paint or going into ISO mode, whether that's Bridges in half-court mid-range or Brunson in half-court mid-range. I just love it when the Rock is moving, and 37 assists tonight for the Knicks is one of the highest of the season, and you need that against the Indiana Pacers team that thrives off of forcing turnovers, thrives off pushing the pace, really is a team that shares the ball a lot. It's not a team that runs a lot of ISO plays. They also do a lot of pick and roll, pick and pop with Nembhard and Halliburton and Mathurin off of screen set by Siakam and Turner when he's healthy too. But I think there was really good steaming tonight. Tonight was a night you didn't have to worry about the bids on their side hitting a lot of threes. With Miles Turner out, that's that even pistol action they were running Indiana was for Miles Turner. You didn't see a lot of that for Thomas Bryant. So it really allowed Cat to stay in the level and not and drop so much to where he could at least keep Thomas Bryant in the second half, not being so much of a rolling threat that he was in the first half. So I like that adjustment by Tibbs. Also, again, talking about our guys' campaign and Deuce and Bride, I've been calling for pistol action from Tom Thibodeau. He ran it multiple times and has been running it for the month of February. We've seen an increased use of it at the top of the tee, preferably. It's funny. I said it should happen at the beginning of quarters to get guys off the bench going in rhythm. And absolutely, he did that. Hope he's listening to the pod, but I love seeing pistol action between Deuce and Bride and Landry, Deuce and Bride campaign, which didn't just allow for open 3-point shots. It also allowed for a little bit of a downhill momentum. So guys get in the mid range and then hit those floaters. And then the floater game was strong tonight too. I love the floaters that I saw from campaign and Deuce as well as Karl-Anthony Towns. Really strong offensive game. When we play like this and Jalen Brunson's not on, I think we can beat just about anyone but Boston in a 7-game series. We need everyone to be on for us to beat Boston in a 7-game series. But I think we just survived now a bad Jalen Brunson offensive game and another passive Mikal Bridges offensive game and still beat the Indiana Pacers, which absolutely unbelievable offensive nights again from Josh Hart and Karl-Anthony Towns. I want to give some shout outs here to the chat to my homies, always the mod god, Fritz Alessander, my main man, and just a great friend as well. I see Gaza Zone, the house, Free Palestine now and forever. Nick Yat, Jean Marc, Frank Sound, JT Reddit. Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you, bro. Good to be here, man, after a Knicks win. Capo 1291. Let's go, Knicks. Hell yes. Sandman, wow, Lee, you are fast. Listen, man, I told Fritz, I was like, man, let's burn this up. Let's do it, man. Let's kick this off and get it going off right, because I think the momentum of the win was something I really want to talk about. And man, Josh Hart, what a beautiful story. I'm gonna add him to the never trade hashtag. I think Josh Hart will end up retiring a Knick, and he'll be here as long as Leon Rose and Jalen Brunson is, which hopefully is forever, right? That's a dream. Yeah. Also, I've kind of been disconnected from what's happening with the Knicks with all the drama in Dallas with the Mavs, and I've been recording and interviewing and writing articles on it. So it's great to kind of disconnect from that for a while and really focus on my orange and blue and just give a huge damn about like the Knicks bouncing back from a brutal Celtics loss, which I thought really revealed us, unfortunately, to not yet be on the same level as the Boston Celtics and OKC Thunder, but two teams that I think are the most likely and have the best chance to win the championship this year. And the two teams that I really think right now, the only two that I think are true contenders. That second tier is where I would slot in the Denver Nuggets, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the New York Knicks. Those three teams I think are on tier two. Maybe you can make a case for Memphis, perhaps Minnesota, even if they turn their season around. But really, I think the Cavs and Knicks, those two, and the Denver Nuggets are those two in the East, and then Denver in the West are the three that need something to break in a positive way. And what I have been hoping, and I've been talking to my pops about, is I think Mikal Bridges is the key to us getting to that next level. And the month of December, absolutely no doubt about it, one of the best defensive performances from any singular player in the NBA was Mikal Bridges. That's why he was nominated for Defensive Player of the Month in the East. Offensively, though, I need to see more aggressiveness from him on the offensive side in the shots that he's taking, in the shots that he's giving up. Only one 3-point shot from him tonight, to me, is unacceptable. I don't care if you go 0 for 5, bro. Let me know that you, when you had that thing, you don't let it fly. One 3-point shot. I expect that from Precious Achiuwa, right? I don't expect that from you, especially if Shamet is only giving us 1-3 off the bench, McBride 3 or 3, and Payne 1 from 4. We need that spacing. Towns needs that spacing, just even as a decoy. Even if you brick, it allows for guys like Josh Hart and Precious Achiuwa, who really are good rebounders at the level. They're great at away from the rim rebounding. You need Bridges to be that floor spacer and be that tertiary scorer that guys are afraid of. Where it commands doubles, it commands a sharper hedge, it commands a deeper dig when they're on the perimeter. We don't have that when Mikal Bridges is only taking 7 shots and only 1 from the 3-point line and not a single free throw. Bro, I love the 5 assists, 5 rebounds, solid. Even Davis 1 offensive, but no steals, no blocks, a +4, 6 points in 29 minutes, man. This is not to dog on him or bash him. He can play this way and we can still make the playoffs. We can still win 50-plus games. We can still get out of the first round. But in order for us to have a deep playoff run, and really course correct into a contender, I need more than 7 shots from Mikal Bridges, and I damn sure need more than 1 3 from him at the line. That to me is just like to me, it's a simple key to us taking that next step and getting out of tier 2 and into tier 1. Let's talk about how Indiana played. Offensively, we know what they can do. Rick Carlisle has always had the ability when playoff time comes to have 1 or 2 series where he gets the best out of his guys defensively. Unfortunately, the last time we saw that was against us in the 7 game series in the last postseason. Tonight, I didn't think they played very good defense on us. I thought they had no. I think they probably should have went small once Carl-Anthony Towns figured out the coverage of Thomas Bryant, and they should have played some small ball and been more swarming and blitzing and tried to putting us in tough situations for Bridges or someone else to be scoring on ball, and they failed at that. We gave them on a silver platter a foul prone Jalen Brunson, and to me, they really failed to get stops on opposing end and keep us from getting what we wanted in the paint. There was really no chance, and I think we kind of figured out a new way to guard them and a new way to play them. And I was really happy to see that no bum, no name on the bench didn't come in and drop a career high on us, right? Like Benedict Mathurin, 18 on the bench. I can live with that, right? Tyrese Halliburton, 13. I can live with that. Pascal Siakam, 24. I can live with that. I mean, no Naismith, 25-point game, right? No Nimhard, 30-point bomb with like 5 threes. Keeping those guys contained. Most importantly, TJ McConnell, 5 points, a negative 13, 0 for 1 from the perimeter, 5 assists, no steals. Very important. That was tremendous, especially considering that Jalen Brunson didn't really play this game. Total minute production for him tonight was only 19. That might be a season low for him in games that he wasn't injured. So we needed that 18 minutes of campaign and 15 minutes of Miles McBride to be really conservative, safe basketball and not turning the ball over and letting them get back into the game since they weren't taking advantage of the schemes and the offensive deficiencies we were having in terms of Mikal Bridges and Brunson. We need them and not give them an easy outlet to regain control and try to cut into the lead. And I thought we did a really good job of that. Also wanted to give a shout out, was already arguing with Sandman on Twitter about our guy Precious Achiuwa. Sometimes he has hands of stone for sure, but I don't understand hating a dude. He's better than Ryan Turioff, Jared Jeffries, and Antonio Medice. Antonio Davis, any of those Jerome Williams guys that we had in the 2000s and early 2010s. He's better than all those guys combined. He's a very good bench piece who can give you some paltry 5 minutes at the 5, really strong minutes at the 4. Disagree with all the narratives about not wanting to see him at the 4. When he's at the 4, I think he's at his most productive, especially playing next to Towns. And he also had some success playing next to Hartenstein last year, and even Sims in limited sample size. But he was always a plus in those combinations. The rim protection, the consistent elite rebounding, giving you 5 offensive boards tonight. Again, talking about how him and Josh Hart are such strong rebounders at the level. 1 block, 2 assists. Went to the line 4 times and made 3 of them. That's important for Precious Achiuwa. It's important for Precious to get to the line because you can't count on him to be an efficient jump shooter or space the floor. He needs to be the guy that's really getting to the teeth of the defense and drawing fouls and getting opposing big men in foul trouble so that he can get opportunities for easy shots at the free throw line. Overall, really like Precious's game. We are a poor defensive team. We are going to be a poor defensive team unless Mitchell Robinson and his return provides a super spark off the bench, which is a possibility, but I'm not banking on it. We're going to be a poor defensive team until this summer when Leon is able to retool the roster a little bit, probably bring in some more size and length pause, and really probably one other wing that come off the bench and provide some really solid defense. But until then, this is who we are. Most nights, we're going to have to beat teams on the offensive end. We're going to have to outscore them, which made sense for a Mike D'Antoni team. Very, very strange and surreal for this to be the modus operandi for a Tom Thibodeau coach team. Never thought I would see this in the days of him at Chicago and Minnesota, but here we are. And that starts with us being the worst pick and roll defensive team in the NBA. The Brunson Cat duo, when your 2 best players and the 2 guys that play the most minutes and need to close and start every game, when there are huge liabilities on a defensive end and huge liabilities guarding the 3-point shot and huge liabilities guarding the most spammed play in NBA basketball, the pick and roll. you're going to be a team that has trouble guarding people overall. It's too much pressure on Mikal Bridges. It's too much pressure on Precious Achiuwa to have to be the last line of defense, especially when you're missing OG Anunoby, kind of your matrix guy, but the tight end who's I mean the play passer who's defending the outlet pass and the ball rotation. When you don't have that guy going for steals and taking risks with the ability to recover on those risks, it's again, it's a lot of weight on the shoulders of Bridges to guard the best player and be your point of attack defender. We don't have it. And until, again, Mitchell Robinson shows what he can bring as a backup five, really interesting those minutes that he shares with Cat at the four to see how that looks when you play teams like Denver or OKC, some of the teams with more size. That's going to be telling if we can kind of regain that rim protecting, offensive rebounding identity that we were known for and made us, in my opinion, a contender last year. But overall, lots of positives. Love a good bounce back game after a brutal beatdown, belt to ass by Boston Celtics to the Knicks. Great seeing us being able to bounce back on the road on the first night of a back-to-back. I believe the Nets game is against Atlanta tomorrow. But again, Indiana Pacers, man, no joke. They're 14-7 at home. They're a strong home team. Rick Carlisle is a very good coach. He has coached since Tom Thibodeau very well, as we saw in the same 7-game series last postseason. And the roster is a roster that really loves playing the Knicks. There's no love lost between these two teams. And I heard it was Tyrese Halliburton's father's birthday, and he asked him to go out and score 60. I immediately posted that meme to that Pops guy, laughing like, yeah, my son's really gonna go out and drop 60 for my birthday. Yeah, that's a present that you're never gonna get because Tyree Halliburton just doesn't have the heart, the dog, or in my opinion, the skill to ever drop 60 against anybody. It's not really his nature. Yeah, I don't even think he's gonna have 60 shot attempts through the course of a week's games. It's just not how he plays. Tonight, our guy Tyrese Halliburton gave you 13 points, 6 assists, 6 of 14, 1 of 5 from the 3-point line, an area that he really struggles in. Surprisingly, only 3 turnovers, plus a -3 for the game. The only one who was not a minus for the game that played was Jarris Walker, and he played barely even a minute. So take that as you will. Loved how we defended the bench. Thought we really kept the bench controlled. No revenge game here for Obi Toppin. His bum ass gave you 2 of 5, 0 for 2 from a 3-point line. Only went to the line once off of a foul and gave you 5 points, a -7. Obi Toppin looking just like the Obi Toppin of yesteryear in the orange and blue. So, yeah, again, great win for us with Jalen Brunson on the bench and foul trouble. I hope our guys get some time to heal. I really don't want OG Anunoby to play tomorrow. Wouldn't even mind Karl-Anthony Towns taking a break and taking the game off. I think we can manage to lose that game because we won tonight, and not have to risk further injury before our starting lineup before the playoffs start. I think it's imperative that we get healthy, and to me, it's worth sitting Karl-Anthony Towns and OG Anunoby tomorrow to do so. Let's give some guys like Shamet more burn. Let's build off his momentum. Gave you 11 points. It's been a while since we got a double-digit scoring night from Landry Shamet. Let's give Deuce some more some more burn at the 2 guard spot, less at the 1. Again, campaign's been great. He's not done that floater. He's playmaking. He's becoming a threat in the corners. Love the game tonight from campaign. Now let's see Ariel Hotporty, man. I need more than just 9, 10 spot minutes. It's like this is a guy who gives you length, pause, and gives you some versatility on the defensive end. And I really think that Ariel Hotporty should play. We have a guy who can play a lot of those Towns minutes and split that between him and Precious against Atlanta. We'll see. Yeah, this is a team that badly needs rest. I think we're really going to need that about a week off for our guys, a little bit over a week. And hopefully we can just kind of get right physically and some of these injuries can heal and not cause trouble or not the risk of it getting worse because this last half of the season is going to be tough for us. We're going to have a very difficult schedule. We start off the season with a fairly easy schedule. So I'm looking forward to some of these matchups that are coming up for us and get our lit back in some teams that have put belt to ass to us throughout the season. Most importantly, the 3 teams I want to beat the most right now is OKC and Boston and Cleveland. I'm pretty sure that we have a game coming up against the Cavs after the All-Star break. Let me see here. It's like Thursday. We got the Bulls. Yes. Friday, February 21st in Cleveland, we play the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Nets game would be the following Sunday. We play the Celtics in Boston at noon. Huge 2 games. in this upcoming weekend after Valentine's Day weekend. Going to be a very good test for us. Again, that's why I'm advocating on the side of rest and rehabilitation for our starting guys. Let some of the bench improve their momentum. Specifically to me, Ariel Hotporty and Landry Shamet really need more minutes and more shots to get them ready for spot opportunities in the postseason. Once OJ Anunoby and Mitchell Robinson return, I think they'll be ready more to the bench and DMPs. But until then, we need them, and we need them to be able to be prepared when their numbers called and be in that next man mentality for this upcoming playoffs. Yeah, so that's it, man. Great game. I hope the renewed emphasis on cutting, especially backdoor cuts for guys like Hart and Precious in this motion offense, I hope it improves. Hope we see an even higher frequency of pistol action for our bench guys like McBride, Payne, and Shamet. I hope to see Karl-Anthony Towns continue to dominate in the paint and not settle for mid-range shots, but also shoot more threes in volume when the ops are there. And I think he's starting to get a little more confident in that shooting hand, dealing with the injury and find ways to mitigate it by still pulling up from the perimeter. Those above the break, Karl-Anthony Towns three-pointers are one of the biggest spirit killers in the NBA. It's impossible to guard his size, the height of his release, and his overall build. It's an impossible shot, and it's beautiful. When that goes in, I really feel like anything's possible at MSG when I'm watching that. So yeah, great win tonight. I wish Josh Hart would have been chosen as an all-star. That's probably my bruh pick for the night is Trae Young. Another like, all right, man, here you go. Like, damn, man, all right. You don't be bitching. All right, we're just gonna give you the all-star, bro. Here you go, man. To take your dirty head lollipop ass to the all-star game and enjoy it. Because to me, Josh Hart this is the epitome of why he deserves his first all-star nomination, 30, 10, and 5 in a must-win game against the Indiana Pacers. What more do you need to know? That he is one of the most badass dogs in the league, and that this New York Knicks franchise has ever had wearing the orange and blue, and that is saying a lot. All-time great Nick. Love you, Josh Hart. All right, man. What else? Any book clubs? No, I'm surviving a car wreck. Still getting back to 100%. God bless y'all. Was able to buy a car. Very happy about that. Get my life back in order after a very nasty, violent wreck. So I will have a book club for y'all next time. JL has had to take care of a personal matter, so I'm holding down the fort. Really appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate you, JT Reddit, telling me great show. And then much love, Fritz. Thank you thank you every time and all the time for helping us out and producing the podcast. We could not do it without you. D Roz, Nit Yak, man, chat going crazy, man. Yeah, also great point from Fritz. 2 weeks away from adding a 15 player. I hope is TJ Warren. To me, that's my pick. I like TJ Warren. Nets Nation TV. I think Precious is hurt. His lateral quickness is not really there. Knee issues? Question mark. Maybe, bro. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, there's a solid possibility there that hamstring injury could return. We saw him kind of get over it, quote unquote, during mid January, but maybe it's back and it's causing him a little bit of restriction there in the lateral movement because he got cooked on a couple of plays. And I mean, to me, he gets cooked as much in pick and roll coverage as Karl-Anthony Towns does. But I'm not here to dump on. This is not the dump on Precious Chu. I'm trying to lift the man up because overall I thought he was solid. Yeah, and just wait for Mitchell Robinson, man. That's my ooh pick. Can't wait for Big Mitch to get back on our court, that country ass, man. I love my Rednets, man. I'm a Rednet too. Let's go, baby. All right, man. I love y'all, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the game as much as I did. Please watch some more ball. Watch the rest of the NBA. Luka looked unbelievable. Nets said LeBron James in that win against Utah last night. And the Mavs lost a heartbreaker and lost Daniel Gafford as well to a knee sprain. It's going to keep him out for 2 weeks. That team, I've been public enemy number one for many years, Dallas Mav fan base, and my hatred and my ire is officially dead. I have no more reason to root against them. I've loved Kyrie, always loved Kyrie Irving, always loved Luka Doncic. I've always hated the franchise, and as much as I hate Mark Cuban, I hate the Adelsons even more because they're fighting a genocide. And Patrick Dumont is one arrogant SOB as a governor, and Nico Harrison is just a bona fide idiot as general manager. So I actually feel for the fan base. Like I've talked to everywhere I go. I'm in Dallas. I see Mavs fans everywhere, and I'm feeling the pain, man. I think they finally know what it's like to be a Knicks fan in the mid 2000s during the Isaiah Thomas era. You have a ass-crack front office, a dysfunctional general manager, horrible trades, bad signings, bad handling of draft picks, mismanaging of draft picks. it's tough right now for these Mad fans. So my hatred is completely dead. And I'm just, hanging out with my homies and enjoying their company and trying to console them that it does get better eventually, as we all know, as Knicks fans and survivors of the Isaiah and Phil and Steve Miller era. All right, man. That's a show. I love you. It's a mess out here in these Knicks streets. That's a show. Peace out.
New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.
NYC.